Good evening, my friends. Anthony Fontana here, alive after 5. Thankfully, that's a good thing for me. Coming to you from our home here on Long Island. Just wanted to touch base real quick and kind of follow up with a talk that we had just a couple of days ago in connection with the good and the bad wolf that occupy our minds on a regular basis. And I have some notes here, so I'm going to be referring to my notes as best as I can so I can stay focused on this, because I think you're going to get a lot out of this talk tonight. You know, focusing on your weaknesses is not a good place to be. You're going to end up feeling inferior in every respect, and you're never going to get ahead, because by thinking about what you cannot do, what you're bad at, you're going to diminish what you are good at, because you're not going to be thinking about the things that you're good at. It's just going to make things worse for you. You know, it's not possible to improve weaknesses by focusing on just weaknesses and forgetting about what your strong points are. So the purpose of this talk tonight is to try to get you a little bit of an alignment toward why we tend to go negative and why we tend to focus on negative, and how we can break that pattern. I think that's a good thing. So I'm going to put my glasses on here because my eyes are just not that good tonight. Okay. Look, most of the time, it's your parents, your teachers, your family, your friends that have driven you in that direction where you focus on the things that you're weak at. We're brought up to say, you know, when you're kids, you think you have all these great ambitions, all these great things that you think you're going to do, and then you grow up. You become an adult. And then when you want to reach back to those dreams that you had, you're told, when are you going to grow up? Are you kidding me? You need money to have an invention. You need, you need money to buy real estate. You have to have prospects to go forward. You need to have support. You're given all the things that they think you need, and you end up squashing your own dream. You end up staying in the lines and working and coloring in the lines for the rest of your life. I stopped coloring in the lines at 20 years old. I stayed away from staying on the track that was dictated to me, because I knew it wasn't the way I was going to grow. I knew that was not the way that I was going to develop my life, in no shape, manner, or form. You know, here's what I would love you to do. I want you to get amazing at the things that you're really good at. You know, if you remember 3 days ago or 4 days ago, we talked about the wolves that occupy your mind. You have a good wolf and a bad wolf. The good wolf is optimistic, it's happy, it's excited, it's friendly, it's warm. The cup is always, half full, it's excited. Then you have the bad wolf, which is negative and nasty and belligerent, and it's always glass is half empty. It's always focusing on the negative. Now, which one grows? Which one develops? It's the one that you feed. And we tend to feed the negative wolf that sits on the other shoulder, and we leave the good wolf alone because we're good at that, but let me focus on these bad things. Let me get rid of this bad stuff. And that's what we think about. And because that's all we think about, we end up getting more of what we don't want. We end up getting weaker with the things that we're weak at, and the things that we're strong at we forget about, and we get weaker in that regard. Just not a good idea. So put all your energy into things that you stink at. It's inevitable. You're going to lose confidence and have zero momentum towards success. But if you put your energy into things that you're good at and become great at them, then you're going to develop a skill set that can take you to the next level. I'd rather be really fantastic at one or two things and really crappy at a dozen things, because I'll make enough money, or I can hire somebody to take care of the things that I'm really bad at. Remember, Henry Ford was being sued, or sued someone for defamation. They called him stupid. That's Henry Ford now, the guy that founded Ford Motor and pretty much invented the assembly line for automobiles. Changed the direction of this entire nation and the world when he did that. Anyway, so he sued because they called him stupid. And then when they're interviewing him in the courtroom, he was asked a lot of very basic questions. Who the president of Bolivia was, and all these generic things about history, geography, geology, things that he did not really know anything about. And after a while, he got really upset and disgusted, and he finally pointed at the prosecutor and said, "Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know the answer to all those questions." He said, "But I sit in an office with a push button thing on my desk that I can press the button, and I can get anybody with an answer to that question in my office in 2 minutes flat. I don't need to know all the answers. I know what I know. And I hire people that know what they know, and that's why I hire them." It was then that he won the case, because he proved that he was not really stupid. He was actually incredibly smart. So he focused on the things that he was good at. While you're doing a quick exercise, I want you to think about, I don't want you to think about your weaknesses. It's a lot better to become exceptional at one or two things. Here's what I want you to do. Ask yourself a couple of questions. What are some of the weaknesses that are holding you back? I'll put this on the side here. What have people told you in the past that you need to work on? What have some of your friends told you? You need to work on this. You need to improve in this particular area. They've given you that advice. We've all gotten that. What false beliefs do you have about yourself because of that so-called weakness that you were told you have, supposedly? I want you to ask these questions, and I want you to begin thinking about becoming great at other things. I want you to stop thinking about this negative crap that people have dumped in your head. You know what's the most costly advice in the world? Bad advice. That's the most costly advice in the world. We're all given bad advice in our life. I've had plenty of it. You've gotten plenty of it. I've probably given some bad advice in my life. Hi, Lauren. How are you? What's going on, KL? Anthony Maselli, my cousin. What's going on, brother? So we've all been given some bad advice. And most of the people that gave us this bad advice cared about us. They loved us. That's why they were giving us bad advice, because they walked through some minefield and failed because they didn't pick themselves up and move forward. So they're telling us what to do. And I mean, really, would you talk to the person married 5 times for advice on how to be married successfully? You wouldn't do it. So we all had this experience. Have you ever had an idea when you were a younger person that was a really great idea and you didn't pursue it because someone said it was a great idea, but you couldn't do it because you didn't have money, you didn't have contacts, you didn't have connections, you're not a salesperson, you need money to make money, which is probably the dumbest advice I've ever heard in my entire life. Would you take financial advice from someone that's completely broke? Would you learn how to play, football from LeBron James? Would you learn how to sing opera from Jimi Hendrix? No, of course not. You would never do things like that. At the end of the day, bad advice feeds that inner villain inside you that's always present, always there. You can't get rid of it. It is always under the surface, directing you to what it wants you to do, to keep you safe, to keep you on the tracks, separate from all the good stuff that's around the tracks, but keeps you in a certain line so that you stick with the status quo. You don't want to get outside that. You don't want to get hurt. Let me protect you. And that's what the brain does by keeping you there. This is dream stealing advice, guys. It comes to us nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And people that give us this bad advice usually deliver it with a bow of love. They love you, so they're going to give you this advice. They don't know any better because it's the advice that they got. Or maybe it's from their life experience where they failed. We need to be conscious of this bad advice. We need to understand that it's being dumped on us 24 hours a day, and we need to create a filter that allows us to listen to the advice, say thank you very much, and then flush it. Put it in the garbage pail, put it in the can, and kick it to the curb. You can do that respectfully. You don't have to beat people up. I don't take a lot of negative advice from anybody. Someone dumps negative on me, I usually shut them real quick. I've learned to do that. But if you're not good at doing that, if you're not aggressive enough at doing that, if you don't have enough life experience to think you have the ability to shut someone down that's giving you some stupid advice on your life, that's okay. Say hi, thank you, I appreciate that, but don't accept it. Don't absorb it, and don't use it. Very important. So in closing, I want you to listen to this. You can never take advice from people who have never done what you want to accomplish. It's a simple fact, right? If you think you can learn from their mistakes, in the end, you really can't. You just can't learn from their mistakes unless they've actually improved on those mistakes. So when I say, walk through a minefield, follow someone, I'm not referring to people that have lost and never recovered. I'm talking about people that have lost, learned, and then moved forward in a different direction and improved and gotten to where they want to be, the place you want to be. So that's what I mean when I say that. So I'm not talking about people that just don't know what they're doing and they're giving you their advice on what they did wrong and they're giving it to you as the only advice in the world because it's just not true. So don't follow their advice. So basically that's pretty much it. I just filter out the bad advice from people, shut it down, and decide what you're really, really good at. Maybe tomorrow we'll get into this a little bit more and we'll create a couple of exercises that you might be able to do. But I'm going to say goodnight right now. I'm going to grab MJ. We haven't hung out a lot today. We've been very busy on a number of different things, and we are putting together a trip to Hawaii, all expenses paid, and we're looking to bring some people with us to that. I don't know if that gets you excited, but we're talking Kauai, 5 days on a private resort, privately owned, basically estate there on Kauai. And we're looking forward to that. So we have a lot of work ahead of us to get to that point where we can have that trip paid for, all expenses. And we want to bring some of you with us if you're interested. So message me and let me know if you're interested in going to Hawaii in the next 9 months. We'd love to have you come with us. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight. We love you guys. Hope you learn something from these things. I hope you use it. Take advantage of it. Share if you care. Emoji if you like anything. Give me some input if you want something that you want me to talk about, or if you think I need to correct something that I'm thinking about. Hit me up. Let me know. I can learn too. We love you guys. Have a great night.